Hey, what's up? This is Ian, and we are in Fukuoka at Momorando. It's like a farm kind of up in the hills near Fukuoka. And we're going to talk about, in this video, we're going to talk about which is friendlier, Taiwan, China, Korea, or Japan. First, we're going to try to take a spin down this little slide here and see if it's any fun. Whoa. That was actually a little painful. I feel like my bottom is on fire right now, really itchy. Yeah. So this is Ian, and hello. We are in Fukuoka, and I won't do that again. That was, man, that was irritating. Maybe it's these shorts. I got these like kind of polyester shorts on and really thin. And so where's more friendlier? I don't know. So I spent China. I spent 6 months in China, 3.5 years in Korea, and 2 years in Taiwan, and I've been in Japan now for 8 months. So, the culture's kind of similar in all these places. It's like kind of comparing, I don't know, maybe like Germany and France and I don't know, Italy, and it's kind of like that. It's kind of similar to that. So I'd say that like China, and it's kind of difficult to gauge too. Like I'd say like China and Taiwan are a little bit warmer, a little bit more friendly than say Korea or Japan. A little bit more chaotic too, I'd say. Definitely China. Taiwan is kind of like Taiwan is kind of like level up a little bit. Yeah, speaking of levels, like, China, like as far as refinement goes and stuff like that, Japan is like the most refined, and then second would probably be Korea, and then third would probably be Taiwan, and then you have China. So China and Taiwan, they're really densely populated, and it depends where you compare too. Like any big city's not going to be as friendly as like people in the countryside, and this just doesn't have anything to do with Asia. That's like around the world, it's like that too. So yeah, so China and Taiwan, I'd say a little bit warmer, a little bit more friendly, and Korea and Japan a little bit colder, and I'd say Japan's probably like the most reserved. But I'd say generally, most like reserved and sort of like introverted. But in general, I'd say like East Asia is kind of like that. So we're only talking about like subtle differences between the two. Yeah, like China's going to be the most chaotic and the most polluted too. So, and like that little like chart thing I did with Japan, like on the top, Japan on the top, it's also kind of economically like that. There's more wealth in Japan, or the average citizen in Japan is wealthier than, say, China, which would be on the bottom. Some horses down there. So, yeah. And, as a foreigner, you come here and you live here, you get a little bit, sometimes, like, special attention. You can get some sort of privilege. And then on the other hand, sometimes, you're an outsider. Like, You kind of get the isolation too, and that can happen in all these places, you know. Um, yeah, Japan's like people are like polite, but pretty, pretty quiet, pretty reserved, pretty keep to themselves. It's the most rural orientated place. Um, yeah, you gotta like, you gotta like really. For those of you haven't been looking at my face, you really gotta look at all these spiders, man. They're all over the place. That was a big one. They're all over the place. What was I saying? Um, oh, you really gotta like, you gotta find a way to make a connection with the place. I think, like, you come over here, you gotta kind of like, man, look at all these spiders, freaky. Ugh. Um, yeah, you gotta like get a hobby, find a way to connect. For me, what really works good, it doesn't matter where I live. I think it works good. For the past like probably getting close to 6 years, I've been training BJJ, jiu-jitsu, and like 4 years or so judo. And man, it's like a great way to make some social connections. So it can get really lonely living abroad, and I think you really need some kind of connections. Like you can take a language class, you can learn a martial art. Like what? You're in Asia, all kinds of martial arts you can study. Taekwondo, Hapkido, all kinds of different kinds of kung fu, Japan, karate, aikido, kendo, judo, you know, all kinds of stuff, So there's classes, and you just gotta kind of like, you gotta put yourself out there, and it'll make a difference. Like you can also meet foreigners at like bars and whatnot. If you want to hang out with other foreigners, like, you can do that. You can go to the bar and stuff. If that's your thing, if drinking's your thing, but it's a way to meet people too, I guess. But I would like pick up a hobby, take a class, find some way to get connected to the community. Will also help your language, and I don't know. I don't think you want to like live in a bubble all the time with just foreigners. I think they're gonna closed. Momorando. Yeah, I don't know. I think they closed. Closing. I'm gonna head out. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say. What's more friendly? So, you get some privilege as a foreigner and some tension as a foreigner, but yeah, I'd probably say China or Taiwan. A lot of people say Taiwan is like Taiwanese say that a lot too, like Taiwanese are friendly or something like that. And there were times when I lived there. I was there for 2 years. I think there were times when I didn't think so. In retrospect, I don't know if it's the whole grass is greener thing or it is different. I think actually it's kind of weird. I lived in a share house for here in Japan, actually. That was like exclusively either Chinese or Taiwanese living there. I lived there for like a month and a half. And I kind of noticed at first, like, yeah, they are warmer. They're a little more friendly, a little bit more sociable than Japanese. I lived in a Japanese share house for I don't know, a while, like 5 months or something. So yeah, there's there's some subtle differences between the countries. They're all very similar. similar cultures and whatnot. You just gotta come here and check it out. Try to get connected to some sort of group or community. Have a hobby, have an interest, work on something long term, and you know you'll look at these mushrooms. Ah, interesting. I wonder what kind of mushrooms those are. So anyways, this is Ian, and I'm gonna talk to you later. I gotta go.